Welcome to virtual beer class. So this semester we are going to be doing things a little bit differently than we do them most semesters because we are living in the apocalypse. So all of this class is going to be taught online this semester, and I have taken a great deal of pains to try to replicate what you would experience in ordinary beer class here in the virtual world. So substantively, what we're going to do in this class is we are going to explore some of the history of beer with a real focus on local. And as we do that, we are going to talk about beer itself, and we're going to introduce you to the world of craft beer. Now, many of you may already be well versed in the world of craft beer, but hopefully along the way you're going to learn a few things. Some of you may not know anything about beer, and some of you may hate beer, and that's why you've taken this course. All of those levels of interest are good because we're going to explore how beer interacts with a lot of the rest of the world, and regardless of what you drink now and what your comfort level is with craft beer, I think and I hope that you're going to expand your palate a bit through this course, and you're going to learn a thing or two, both about history and the built world around you, and about beer. So that's the substance of what's going to happen here, and we're going to go through a lot of beers as we do that. Mechanically, this class requires some explanations that it typically would not. There's going to be a list of beers that you will drink for this class, or that you will taste for this class. Now, those beers are going to be a very wide range of beers. We're going to start with English beers, we're going to go to German, we're going to get into a lot of different variations of American craft beers from classic styles. Then we're going to head into Belgians and sours near the end. A lot of beers are going to look like you're used to. Some of the beers that we taste are going to look quite different from the beers that you are used to. Beers that have colors like this one, or variously weird colors. As we do that, you're going to find some beers that you like. You're probably going to find some beers that you hate. But open yourself up to all of them. That's substantive. Back to mechanics. The way this class would typically operate is that you would be charged a lab fee, and I would buy a bunch of beer and bring it to class, and we would do a tasting. The way it works in virtual world is that I'm going to give you a beer list, and you are going to be responsible for going and purchasing that beer. Now, you have not been charged a lab fee for this class that would typically be used to buy beer. That's the good news. Bad news is you have to go out and buy your own beer. I have selected beers that can all be found at Party Source in Bellevue, and all of those beers are sold as single beers. I have also alerted Party Source to the fact that I'm doing this, and that there's a total of close to 100 students that are going to be looking for these specific beers during this semester. So hopefully they're going to be available. You do not have to buy these beers at Party Source. You can get them wherever you want. But it's why I've selected the ones that I have, because in theory I know that you can pick them up, and that you don't have to buy a 6-pack of everything that we drink to taste it, or a 4-pack in some instances. So we're going to drink some delicious beers. As we taste beers, we're going to talk a little bit more about tasting beers when we get into the substance of the beers. I use these little glasses, and you don't have to have fancy little beer tasting glasses, but you can. What you do need is a glass. Every beer should be tasted from a glass. We're going to get into why that is later on. But for now, you need to know that you're responsible for buying the beer for this class. You're responsible for tasting the beer for this class. And to taste beer right, you need to do it out of a glass. I have organized this class so that each class is a separate module in Canvas. So each week you will go to that module and you will go through the material that's in that module, which is typically a collection of some WebEx lectures along with a bunch of videos. They are all in varying lengths, and so you can allocate your time properly and you can do this class at your own pace. I have put the time of each one of those segments in the Canvas module. So each week you just walk through that week's module, and as you do that, you're going to go through this class, and we're going to go through the lectures that we would typically go through. And when it comes to things like tours, I have tried to replicate several of those by taking you on virtual tours. So that's the way the class is going to operate. You need to work through it each week by separate modules in Canvas. Those modules are going to have a series of lectures and other videos, and when we do beer tastings, we will do them just like this. This is my backyard bar, and rather than doing in-class tastings, we do most of our tastings either here at my backyard bar or some other place that I invade. So when we do those tastings, there's a couple of different ways that you could do it. The way that I would actually prefer is for you to do a tasting. Let's say you pour this much of a beer into a glass and you taste that beer. You write down your impressions of that beer on the beer logs that we'll talk about later. And after you've done that, you watch the beer tasting video that I have done for that segment, so that I am not biasing you, so that you are tasting that beer for the first time on your own and you're making a notation of what you taste in that beer. Then, ideally, you'll have enough of that beer left over that when you watch the tasting with me, you can taste it again and see if there's something in that beer that you missed the first time. That if discussing that beer, talking about some of the things that I see in that beer, has awoken something in what you taste in that beer. Now, beer tasting is subjective. You are not going to be graded or judged on what you like or dislike. You're not even going to be graded or judged on how well you pick flavors out, although hopefully you're going to learn to do that better as we go through this class. And as we go through this class, even if you start out hating beers, I think that you're going to find at least a few along the way that you like, and even more importantly than that, I hope that you're going to open up your palate and you're going to be able to start exploring the world of beer a little bit better. So after this intro video, there is an intro WebEx lecture that goes through more of the mechanics, the syllabus, dates, how things are graded, blah, blah, blah. But because we will not be seeing each other much this semester, I wanted to start this out with a little welcome video. Glad to see all of you out there in the virtual world. Of course, see absolutely none of you, but I'm glad that you're taking this class. I'm sorry that you are taking it virtually, but I am sorry about everything that's happened in 2020, and it's not my fault. What I've done is try to make this class as close to what it should be as I possibly can. So I hope that you sort of enjoy it and that you learn a few things along the way. And at a minimum, you're going to drink some good beers. So cheers, and I'll see you out there in the virtual world.